What's up? What's up? We're just gonna finish more about the kingdom until we run out of time. And now it says, and now, well, let me finish what I was saying about the fleshly needs. And honestly, that's what keeps you in bondage. That's what keeps you in hell, trying to give everything to this physical body. Like that's why people have a hard time dieting and having hard time with restraining from human things. And when you do restrain from human things, you're actually helping your spiritual self, because that's your spiritual telling you to restrain from some of these human things that you've been doing. If it's been drinking, you're consuming too much food, if you just don't have balance with your human self, if you don't have control over your fleshly needs, then you're pretty much stuck in hell, and you're gonna always be trying to please the flesh and not please the spirit. And that's what kind of goes into being Satan and born into sin and shit like that. And then it goes on to say, now we all have studied, and we know absolutely that our thoughts bring forth according to the seeds and the culture that we give them, and whether we interfere with them or leave them alone. And just to say that, just like, bro, no matter the vibration or energy that you're in, that's what the seeds are going to be planting. No matter if you keep trying to fuck with them or not, the energy that you're planting with them, that's what it's going to be. Like, that's the birth you had. I mean, honestly, that's what your thoughts are. You can't change the, what do you call it? Like, people try to change them. Here we go. I be wanting to talk, but it's better to just read sometimes. Now, some people think that if man has control of his thoughts, he shouldn't continually be pulling them and tearing the weeds or throwing them away. And that goes into, like, whatever your initial thought was, you don't know why that thought came about. So if you're trying to constantly uproot seeds before they're fully grown, you don't never see what they become. So for me, I used to the idea of me not liking to work. If I told somebody that, they would tell me I was lazy, but that same idea spread me to want to be an entrepreneur and understanding I don't like working for people. Not that I don't like working, I just don't like working for people, but I go hard for myself. And it's just to understand that if I would have took that seed and said, well, no, I like working, I would have kept working for people, because I had to detach and get out that world. And some thoughts, like, we won't understand it or understand why these thoughts came about, and that's the same urges and shit that they said that the gods send us. We don't know why these urges come about, but when you let these seeds just plant and grow and you observe them, you kind of see what they come up to. And then it goes into what you should do after kind of you done watching them harvest. But I don't know, I probably skipped ahead. Pulling the tares and weeds and throwing them away. So we find metaphysicians that spend their whole time in thought analyzing, denying and affirming everything that comes up. They have denial and or affirming for everything, and their books are filled with statements and all kinds that gather here and there and everywhere. And what they're saying is, like, that goes to the people that's the spiritual and trying to do alchemy, but they're impatient. They're not willing to work and see why these things are going. And if they're in a certain mentality, like for me, I'd be angry a lot of times, or I'd be hella passionate about shit. But I'm meant to be in that state of mind because that's what I need to create out of. And in that same aspect, if a person that's a light worker wants to be all positive and they keep getting mad at shit, they're going to keep telling themselves, well, I'm positive, I'm this, I'm that, you this, you that, but you're not. And in that same aspect, if this talked about him, I think Revelation, it was saying, if you keep affirming that you're abundant when you're fucking broken, you're half-assing yourself because you're not realizing the reasons that you're broken. So you keep trying to fake this abundance, keep trying to make this abundance, but you're building abundance on brokenness. And that's the honest to God truth. Like, you cannot build on shit that you haven't introspected on yourself. Like, you got to go inside, bro, and start your foundation. But if you just think you can just wipe that shit out and then just start writing over it, no, you can't, because you can just scrape that white out and see what you originally wrote. Just like the shit with Thor and his kingdom. You can't whitewash this shit, because at the end of the day, the truth will be unveiled. And that's the same thing with self, bro. You can try to be abundant, you can try to be positive, you can try to do all these things, but the truth will come out. And the truth is really your God self. Like, if your God self say you're not supposed to like this reality, it's going to show you that you're not supposed to like this reality. It's going to keep horning you till you realize you're not supposed to like this reality. But you might not understand it, and you might just think you're a broken person that's not meant to work in this reality. And that's the shit that you're supposed to think, but you thinking it's because it's something wrong with you. But it's not. People would think they crazy all the time. Like, I just seen a girl say she thinks she crazy. Well, she started to think that she was crazy because she thought this world was hell, but it's not, bro. And it's like, she started listening to artists that had expressed the same things, and she started to realize you should create your heaven from inside, bro. And that's the honest to God truth, bro. Like, when people start thinking they're going crazy when they start telling people how society is. You see it in movies all the time when people tell them how the world gonna end or shit going wrong. People always laugh at them until the shit change, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you were right. How do we fix it? It's too late. Nah, nigga, you sealed your fate. Now, nigga, like, that's how it already, like, we see it every day. So, I mean, for the people that's metaphysics, like, you got to start planting your seeds, bro. Like, these emotions and shit don't come from your thoughts. These emotions come from some shit deeper than you. Same with a lot of these thoughts. They don't, like, we're not the creator of our thoughts. Like, we might create some thoughts, but for the most part, bro, the thoughts that we create are probably the foundation that we've been, like, given from our higher gods. Like I said, our dreams implement what we really want to do in this life, and our thoughts come off of shit that's really implanted in our subconscious, to be honest. So our subconscious be coming up with shit more than us, and that's our higher self, to be honest. Let's see what else I want to go into. They keep up such a world, such a hot fire. Let me see. I think I skipped too far. Pulling in weeds. Every day they plant some new seeds, which keep quite a rotation of crops going on their world. But it keeps them also very busy, and they sometimes burn up the good with the evil. Same, exactly, bro. Like, you might be doing some justice in that what you're doing, and there's affirmance, but at the end of the day, you also blocking some shit because you're not just purely observing yourself and the reality that you're in. And when you do that, you're making up illusions on top of illusions without ever realizing what illusion you came from. And I just said that though, but they keep up such a swirl, such a hot fire, burning up the evil and to consume the goods. And they're also going back to them being very busy. That's on your mind always thinking, like, how can I change this? How can I fix that? How can you do that? At some point, you gotta sit back and just be like, I am what I am, bro. Because there's so many thoughts, bro. Like, you go through 10,000 thoughts. So you about to fix 10,000 thoughts a day. Now you're going through 20,000 thoughts. Now you're trying to go through them. That's now 40,000 thoughts. Like, you just keep that. Then you go that motherfucking ocean of wave that and talk about the Noah's Ark. Like, that's all that shit is. Like, that's all that shit is. And now the parable is aimed at that kind of people who are not patient enough to wait until the harvest before to weed it out. To weed out the evil. Now you will find certain conditions in your life out to be right, no question about that, but they are not in harmony with the divine law. So they'll figure some things out because they are observing what's going through their mind, but they're not being patient, so they're not having faith in themselves and their true source of what they are. In that same aspect, what did I just read? They're good kind of people, but they're not connected to the divine law. It's just, you don't have faith in what you are. So you're always constantly trying to correct it. It's like, and honestly, when it gets to the physical, that's when people start trying to correct their bodies and shit. But it starts from the mind. You get into the kingdom within you where you can see the good and the evil. Like possession going by. And I know y'all be thinking I can't read, but a lot of this stuff is like, some of the words are like faded and things like that, because it was like copied from a book that was old, I guess. Evil like, yeah, but whatever. Just go back to, you can't be in the kingdom without seeing the good and the evil of yourself, bro. Because if you're not looking at the evil of yourself, you're not really truly analyzing what you are. And you're not really truly trying to go through purification. And that's the whole process of introspection. And then they just keep going to say, well, you'll start picking out your friends and shit like that, where you're not even supposed to be doing at that time, because they'll just fall away from you. Like, if your friend not supposed to be in your life, they'll just fall away from you. But people be trying to cut off, because it's the same shit. You trying to cut off shit in your spiritual mind, and I was trying to change your spiritual mind, but you're not realizing why these thoughts are there, just like you're not realizing why these people are in your life. But you'll just cut them off and think that's the end of it. But that's just you running away from the trueness of the reality. And I just wanted to sum that up because it kind of get into it a little deep. If you are wise, you will ask for a large discernment, a broader consciousness. All right, let me go back then. It may be striving too hard for you to work, or you're working too strenuously in the attempt to the right conditions before it is ripe, before the harvest come. If you are wise, you will ask for a large discernment, a broader consciousness, a more far-reaching comprehension of the law of sowing and reaping in the mind. And that's just saying you'll ask for more patience, you'll ask for more wisdom, because a lot of people will try to go for fast money, quick money, and it's the same opportunity of long money will be there, but you got to build a foundation for that long money. You're like, man, I don't really try to go through that. I need this money now, and then if I get that money, I can go do the long shit then. But it's like, now you need to build a secure foundation that's going to take a while to build, because now you can take your time, look at it in peace, and see how it's really growing and shit like that versus, fast shit. And that's all that's really saying with people wanting to have asking for a broader consciousness, asking for wisdom. That's the same thing that Solomon asked for. He didn't ask for more money. He didn't ask for a quick fix. He asked for the long-term wisdom that'll help him in the long run, because like, that's the same aspect. If somebody see you fishing, if you just be like, hey, you're a good fisherman, can I have a fish? And they say, yeah, you're going to keep asking them instead of being like, well, I can teach you to be a good fisherman. And it's the same shit, bro. It's just, all these are parables in a sense, but it just teach you, like, people don't, I think I said that good enough. I ain't even going to keep going into it. Let's find some more reading. Now there's a law governing all mental processes, and that's okay. Now the law governing all mental processes, and us, I say, we brought into our world not only the thought world, but into the world which we live, just the conditions that we find ourselves in. It is not through some outer impulse or forces that these conditions exist. It's because we allow them to exist. And I say everything comes from self and internal shit. And the fact that we let these government and all these people manipulate us is because we think at the end of the day we can still come up off that nature, because at the end of the day they the hand that's feeding us, and we feel like we shouldn't bite their hand. But nigga, you need to be feeding your own fucking self, because if you